Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise surrounding, well, maybe the most famous success manual ever written, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Which first came out in 1937.
Exactly. And this book is just monumental. I mean, over 80 years, tens of millions of copies sold. It's an absolute cornerstone of personal development literature.
It really is. And, while the title promises riches, the core philosophy is it's really applicable to achieving any goal. It's this very systematic, almost step-by-step method for turning an idea into a real result.
And that's our mission today. We're not just going to summarize the famous 13 steps. We're going to try and surgically extract the mechanism behind each one, how Hill argued they actually change your thinking.
But first, we have to deal with the big one, the central controversy that makes this whole thing such a fascinating paradox.
The author himself.
Exactly. Because the message is so tied to the messenger. Hill's entire claim to fame was that his philosophy came from this huge research commission from Andrew Carnegie, personally, back in 1908.
Right. He said he spent 20 years studying 500 self-made millionaires, all because of that one meeting.
That's the foundational myth. The whole authority of the book rests on the idea that this isn't just self-help. It's a massive 2-decade study endorsed by, the greatest industrialist of the age.
So what's the problem?
Well, the problem is modern historical research biographies. They found zero, literally no historical record or any documentation that supports this story.
Wait, so the big meeting with Carnegie?
It probably never happened.
Yeah.
At least not in the way he described it. The core claim, the proof of his expertise, seems to have been, fabricated.
And the timeline gets even messier, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. That period around 1908 when he said he was starting this life-changing project, records suggest he was actually on the run from the authorities in Alabama for lumber fraud.
Wow. Okay, so that creates this massive friction point for anyone reading the book.
A huge one. You have a guy whose main claim to authority was made up, whose personal life had, some serious ethical issues.
Yeah.
And yet
he created this incredibly rigorous system that millions of super successful people swear by.
That's the paradox, isn't it? The utility defense.
Yeah.
If the system works so well for so many people, does it even matter where it came from or who the messenger was?
It's like if the scaffolding works, you use the scaffolding.
Use the scaffolding. And that scaffolding begins inside the mind. The first 5 steps are all about conditioning your thinking.
Okay, let's jump in there. The methodology itself. Step 1 is burning desire.
And he's so specific about this. It's not a wish. It's not a hope. It's an intense fixation on a definite goal. And it has to be formalized with a deadline.
Right. He makes you write it all down. Exactly how much money, exactly when you'll have it, and what you'll give in return.
He's trying to eliminate any vagueness. He says weak desires bring weak results. They just don't have the energy.
And that energy is supposed to fuel the next step, step 2, faith.
And its engine, which he calls autosuggestion.
Okay, so faith here isn't religious. It's just this unwavering belief that you can actually do the thing you just wrote down.
Exactly. But the question is, how do you manufacture that belief if you don't already have it?
Which is where autosuggestion comes in.
Right. This is the practical how-to. It's a ritual, really. You take that statement you wrote and you repeat it systematically.
Okay, but let me challenge that a little. If I just read a piece of paper to myself twice a day, my brain knows I'm just reading words. How does that become real gut-level conviction?
That is the absolute key distinction he makes, and it's psychologically brilliant. He says the subconscious mind is only influenced by thoughts that are emotionalized with belief.
Emotionalized?
Yeah, plain, unemotional words, the ones you just read off a page. Totally ineffective. The whole point of reading it twice a day, when you wake up and before you sleep, is to hit your mind when it's most receptive.
Kind of in a near hypnotic state.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And you infuse the statement with the feeling of already having achieved it. You see it, you feel it.
So you're not just reciting, you're trying to flood your subconscious with a feeling, with conviction.
You're turning a clinical desire into an emotional resource. And that emotion is what powers the next step, imagination. He calls it the workshop of the mind.
Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes. That's his line.
It is. He says our only limitation is how we develop and use our imagination. And he breaks it into 2 types.
Okay.
The first is synthetic imagination. This is the one we use most of the time. It's basically just arranging old concepts, old ideas into new combinations.
So it's like an assembly line for our plans.
That's a great way to put it. It's the mechanism for turning the desire into a formal plan. The second form, though, creative imagination, is way more abstract.
That's the 6th sense he talks about.
Yeah, where you get brand new insights. Ideas that you couldn't have just pieced together from what you already knew. It's about tapping into something bigger.
So if synthetic imagination is rearranging the furniture, creative is designing a whole new house.
Perfect analogy. And Hill suggests that creative imagination really only kicks in when the conscious mind is super focused, under intense pressure. It's when you've pushed so hard with the other steps that you sort of force a breakthrough.
So once the idea is there, we have to move to execution. This brings us to specialized knowledge and organized planning.
And he is so clear on this. Knowledge is only potential power.
Right. Having a degree or memorizing facts is useless on its own.
Totally useless. It only becomes actual power when it's organized and directed through a practical plan toward that burning desire.
And this is where the Carnegie example, even with the controversy, is actually a great lesson.
It is. Carnegie didn't know much about making steel, technically, but he knew how to find the people who did his mastermind group and organize their knowledge.
He knew how to leverage it, not just hoard it, which leads right into organized planning.
Yep. Ideas have to become blueprints. And this is where he tells that famous story about Henry Ford and the V8 engine.
Right. Ford wanted an engine with all 8 cylinders cast in one single block.
And his engineers all said, impossible. Technically, it couldn't be done with what they knew.
But Ford just wouldn't accept that.
He just said, stay on the job until you succeed. His determination was the trigger. But the result was a new method, a new blueprint. The power was in forcing the creation of a practical plan where there wasn't one before.
And once you have that plan, you need the fuel to see it through. That's step 8, persistence.
Which is more than just trying hard. It's the ability to keep going despite, and this is crucial, despite temporary defeat.
Hill saw defeat as data, right? Not as failure.
Exactly. It's a signal that your plan is unsound. So you rebuild the plan and you set sail again. He has that great quote, every adversity has within it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity.
And the classic story for this is R.U. Darby, the guy who stopped digging 3 feet from gold.
And that story is so important. Darby quit, literally feet from a massive vein of gold. But that failure became his greatest lesson. He learned to keep on keeping on, and it made him a fortune later in a totally different business.
So persistence isn't just blindly pushing, it's about correcting the plan and going again.
Until you succeed. And to amplify that effort, you use step 9, the Mastermind Principle.
This is one of his most famous ideas.
It is. It's the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people to achieve a definite purpose.
So there's the economic benefit, right? Pooling skills like Carnegie did.
Yes, but then there's the psychic feature, which is what really fascinates people. Hill argued that a group of minds focused in harmony on one goal generates a greater thought energy.
Thought energy. What does that mean in a practical sense? Is that just, good brainstorming?
It's more. He really believed that when people are in total harmony, they can access a kind of collective subconscious, which leads to a higher level of creative imagination than any one person could manage alone. It's like a resonance.
Okay, so governing all of this action is a master skill. Step 7, decision.
This one is huge. Leaders decide quickly and firmly. They master procrastination. And Hill says indecision is so dangerous because it's the seedling of fear.
The seedling of fear.
Yeah, it starts there, then it crystallizes into DIET, and then that becomes full-blown fear. And that procrastination habit just paralyzes you.
So indecision is literally the soil where doubt and fear grow. The antidote is just to make a decision.
A prompt and firm decision. The habit of it. Once you decide, your mind switches from worrying to executing.
Now, for anyone starting out, Hill had a very practical formula for, getting paid so you can fuel your desire, the QQS formula.
Right, for marketing your personal services. It stands for quality of service plus quantity of service.
Plus the proper spirit of cooperation. Let's break down that spirit part. What did he mean by that?
It's so critical. It means being proactive, positive, going the extra mile, and just generally not creating friction. Look at Carnegie again. He'd fire someone no matter how good their work was if they didn't have a spirit of harmony.
Because that person would sabotage the whole mastermind principle.
Exactly. Disharmony is a virus in an organization.
So finally, Hill insists that before any of this can really take hold, you have to clear your mind of its biggest obstacles. He identified the 6 basic fears.
And he saw these as systemic destroyers of ambition. They are the fear of poverty, of criticism, of ill health, loss of love, old age, and death.
Why those 6 specifically?
Because he believed those are the main triggers for worry. And worry is just sustained fear. It forces your mind to focus on all the negative possibilities, which actively prevents the positive autosuggestion from working.
It keeps you paralyzed, focusing on what you might lose instead of what you're trying to gain.
100%. And the final antidote, which brings us right back around, is always the same.
Prompt and firm decision.
It's the ultimate firewall. You don't worry about things once you've decided on a definite course of action. The fears are neutralized by a plan.
So wrapping this all up, it's undeniable that Think and Grow Rich offers this incredibly durable framework for changing how you think to achieve a goal. It's why it's still so popular.
It truly is a remarkable system. But a quick word of caution for you, the learner. If you go to buy a copy, be careful. A lot of the public domain versions out there have a lot of issues.
Like what?
Obsolete language, typos. But the big one is these blended versions, where publishers mix Hill's original text with completely new material that he didn't write.
So if you want the pure philosophy, you need to find a verified, restored edition.
You really do. Just to make sure you're getting the original 13-step progression.
That's excellent advice. We've established that the book's power is in its structure, its ability to systematize motivation, and we've also talked about how that foundational myth, the Carnegie story, was almost certainly fabricated.
Right.
So that leaves one final question for you to think about. What is the most powerful element of this book? Is it the meticulously detailed 13-step framework itself? Or is it the sheer undeniable power of belief in the system, regardless of who created it, that ultimately unlocks everything? Something to think about until our next deep dive.